Since October 2009, League of Legends has been around, and in this series I will discuss the lore of every in-game character in order of release date. If you'd like to see more or support me directly, then please subscribe to the channel.
Something ancient stirs.
Anivia is an ancient demigod who stands for the everlasting cycle of rebirth, death, and life, as well as the seasonal changes. She and her other siblings emerged from Runeterra during its creation, working together to shape the Freljord's territory. It is thought that Anivia's birth in particular brought the first winters into the planet. Some even go so far to say that Anivia is the source of true ice. Anivia gladly welcomed the first mortals who set foot in the ancient Freljord. She took note of their vulnerability to the cold and protected them, leading them to isolated valleys where they could form their own tribes and become more resilient to the climate. The mortals would learn to see her and her siblings as gods as she cared for and protected these communities. Legend has it that, despite her hopes that these tribes would stay together, they were vulnerable to a huge invasion by a rapacious king from the south who marched across the mountains in an attempt to seize the wild magic of the Freljord for himself, because of the blood feuds and internal strife. Anivia destroyed the old army by calling out a tremendous snowstorm that lasted a century because she was furious with the strangers. Together with her two sisters, Avarosa and Sarilda, a young mortal woman named Lissandra aspired to master the world's magics and establish dominance over the entirety of the Freljord. Lissandra set out to tame the untamed magic of the region, while the other sisters searched the world for old powers to utilize in order to do this. But Lissandra's disobedience infuriated Anivia's brothers Valhir and Ildarg, who intended to murder the three sisters for their sins. But Anivia, along with her other siblings, preferred to cooperate with her sisters over starting a conflict. Following Lissandra's agreement with the extraterrestrial powers, the three sisters would unite to form a formidable coalition and command an army of fighters known as the Iceborn. These strong mortals were able to use and wield the true ice substance, were attuned to elemental magics of the ice, and were nearly impervious to the bitter cold of the Freljord, now known as the Freljord. The worship of Anivia and her siblings was gradually impacted by the gradual erasure of the Freljordian demigod influences in favor of venerating the three sisters as goddesses, as Lissandra and her sisters grew in strength and advanced with their armies. Anivia is said to be immune to death as, according to numerous legends, she has only been struck down a few times in history and has always been raised to a splendid new life because, as long as the Freljord endures, her soul will never die. She may not rise again for hundreds or even thousands of years after each rebirth, but her appearances always mark the beginning of a new age for the Freljord. So her appearances are simultaneously a marvelous boon and a warning to a dreadful or enormous change to come. According to legend, Anivia once offered herself as a sacrifice to stop a march of enormous ancient Balestriders, creatures who had been corrupted by Lissandra, from rising to victory. Even though she couldn't actually kill these things, she broke her own body by plunging into the ice under their feet and encasing them in the snow and ice. Numerous tribes in the Freljord hold great regard for Anivia, who is old enough to have seen innumerable mortal civilizations. Anivia has been the subject of numerous myths and legends, solidifying her status as mainstay in the majority of Freljordian mythology and culture. Anivia's brother Ornn cut down one of her favorite perching trees in order to build his home, Horn Hall, according to one of the oldest legends about her. Angry at this, Anivia tried to play a practical joke on her brother by rubbing her feathers under his nose while he slept, which made him sneeze out a gout of flame and ignite his bed linens. Fearing that the wood home was on fire, Anivia fluttered her wings to get away, but in the process she fueled the flames even more in the dry Freljordian air, setting Horn Hall on fire. Ornn was upset when he woke up on top of a heap of ashes, feeling that Anivia had played a trick on him, something she hasn't disclosed to him to this day. The nomadic Notai deeply worship Anivia, traveling along the waves of frost, thought to spew from Anivia's huge wings. The Notai are renowned for their storytelling and music. Several of their songs describe the amazing birth of Anivia, in which the creature bursts out a massive ice egg and launches tiny shards into the sky, where they finally descend as snow. There are sagas from another tribe, the Mourncrow, that describe how the frosty winds and blizzards that batter the Freljord really come from Anivia's first beats as a newborn. Anivia herself, like Ula Shatterspear, an Iceborn war mother, according to a tradition among the Avarosan tribe, after she saved a juvenile hawk from a right-fanged wolf, Anivia shielded Ula from harm for her entire life, and after 100 winters, Ula eventually succumbed in combat. Anivia herself welcomed Ula's soul with open wings after her death. With Anivia emerging from her egg once more, the Freljord has entered a new era of significant change. Her most recent appearance was in front of Ashe, who carried on her late mother Graina's quest for the fabled throne of Avarosa. Ashe, the new war mother of the Avarosan tribe, has won the Cryophoenix's favor in part because Anivia believes she is the one who can bring the tribes of the Freljord together at last. More and more shamans and spirit walkers from the ancient demigods sense Anivia's return to the Freljord and the new period she brings with her, but they are unaware of the immense challenge she has faced. And that is the story of Anivia. Thank you for listening, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.